Tight hamstrings are a very common and a very bad problem, and most of us are suffering from this. And the big problem with tight hamstrings, it's not only do they stop your knees from moving properly, but they stop your hips from moving properly, which puts a lot of torque up into your low back and causes a lot of low back pain. So a lot of low back pain, hip pain, and knee pain is the direct result of tight hamstrings. And that really goes throughout the whole body. It affects the way you stand, it affects your posture, and that puts stress on lots of different tissues. So even neck pain, shoulder problems can be the result of tight hamstrings. And the real trouble with hamstrings too is that even if you stretch them pretty consistently, a lot of people don't make any progress. I've had plenty of patients who have worked consistently at stretching their hamstrings for a year, and they come back in with absolutely no progress, sometimes even tighter than they were before. And the reason that is the stretch they were using was not a very good idea, and they were stretching too vigorously. They were overstretching, irritating the hamstrings, and the hamstrings tighten up after that. We seem to do this with all of our stretches, but with the hamstrings even more. We seem to really attack our hamstrings when we stretch. So what I want to talk about today is a very effective hamstring stretch that you can use that actually helps to relax the hamstrings. That's our goal. They're not too short. We don't need to yank them longer. We need them to relax. And the common way to try and stretch would be a toe touch. So people do this all the time. Bend down, touch the toes. Big problem with this is that it overloads the low back. There's a lot of load on the low back, and it puts the low back in a compromised position that can easily lead to injury. So that's a big problem. It also puts strain on your hamstrings while you're trying to relax them. So hanging like this, all the weight of the upper body is being carried by the hamstrings right now. That's extremely hard to expect your hamstrings to relax in that kind of situation. It's like you're giving them the whole weight of your upper body. A guy like me is 100 pounds. You're giving my hamstrings. And of course they can't relax. You're asking them to relax while they're holding 100 pounds. Very similar would be standard toe touches lying down or sitting down. You're still asking the hamstrings to hold the weight of your upper body as you lean forward. It loads the hamstrings. And you're putting your low back in a compromised position by bending forward. This is a little bit better doing it with one foot, but still you're asking it to hold a lot of the weight. So it's very hard to relax the hamstrings in that kind of position. A better alternative is the doorway stretch, where you get something sturdy and you place your leg up on the sturdy object and you lie down, and here at least you're not placing your body weight onto the hamstrings while you're trying to help them relax. Unfortunately, most people are not flexible enough to get up here with their hamstrings straight where there isn't much load on the hamstring. Most people are so tight, they're going to need to be back pretty far in order to do this stretch, because you need to have your knees straight if you really want to get the hamstrings. So to have your knees straight and to not be overstretching, you've got to be so far away. If you have tight hamstrings, you have to be so far away from the wall or the doorway that you're actually putting a lot of weight into your hamstring in this position. It's got to hold your leg up because your knee is going to hyperextend, and the hamstring and quads need to act to keep it from hyperextending. So again, this is not the best stretch. Although it's a better one, it's still not the best one to help the hamstrings really relax. What works much better is a leaning hamstring stretch. So it's much like a basic toe touch, but you have a sturdy object that you are holding on to, and you can bend forward, but the weight of your upper body is going into the sturdy object. So here, I can stretch my hamstrings without asking them to carry the load of my upper body. The upper body is going into the object. And this takes the stress off the low back so that there's very little risk of hurting your low back. So it kills two birds with one stone and allows you to get a really nice, gentle hamstring stretch with very little load in a position where they can actually relax. So here is a really nice spot to help relax the hamstrings. For a lot of people, it'd be something like this. You can rest up here and lean back until you get a gentle stretch. This would be a more mild way of getting into the position. If you're more flexible, you can get down like this, or just use a lower object to be resting your body weight into. So that is a really nice way to actually get the hamstrings to relax and to see progress over time. The key on this is don't dive down too far. You don't want a big stretch. You want a very gentle stretch on the hamstrings. You want to make sure you're doing it right so that your body weight is actually into the object. And as long as you have those two things right, then what you'll feel is a mild stretch, and then that stretch slowly disappears, hopefully within 10 seconds, maybe it takes 30 seconds, but you have a mild stretch, and without moving, without changing positions, the stretch diminishes and disappears. That's the hamstring relaxing. That's what will give you more progress over time, rather than getting into this position and going too far and feeling it getting tighter and tighter and tighter. All you're doing is irritating it, so it's probably just going to stay as tense as it was, or you're even damaging it, causing a little bit of micro damage in there, and it will be sore the next day, it will be damaged, it will be inflamed, and it will tighten up even more, and over time you'll be even tighter than you were. So gentle, mild stretch with a good stretch that actually helps it relax.